In today's Woodfired workshop, we're making this fantastic lamb curry, a railway first class mutton curry. Stick around and we'll show you how to make this in your wood-fired oven at home. Hi everyone, welcome to this Woodfired workshop at Manna from Devon cooking school. In this week's workshop we're going to be cooking a lamb curry, but just not any old lamb curry. This is going to be railway mutton curry, and the mutton really means goat. Now we usually use lamb, but you could use goat still with this. And the railway bit is because it used to be served on the railways all over India, and it's a very rich and indulgent dish. It's going to cook for about 2.5 hours in the oven, and we're going to be using the Bushman Santorini. On the tray we have lamb, which has already been marinated, stock, beef stock I'm using, lamb stock if you have it, half a tin of tomato, tamarind paste, red onions finely chopped. In my spices here I have coriander, cumin, garam masala and turmeric, peanut butter, a blitzed up mix of garlic, ginger and chilli, coconut milk, ghee, curry leaves and a couple of green chillies. So you can see the oven here I've got nicely heated up, not massive amount of heat, but enough heat that it's going to give us a nice slow cook. But because we want to start fairly quickly with a little bit of frying, I've just put the dying embers there underneath the Tuscan grill and put my pan on top. I've let it warm up for 10 minutes or so, so it should now be nice and hot. Frying heat. So I'm going to bring that out, and we're going to start with some ghee. We're using Happy Ghee, or Happy Butter Ghee, and this just comes locally from us, from Buckfastleigh. It's really fantastic, tastes almost, or smells almost like caramel. Really wonderful stuff. So just getting that melting in there, and into there goes 2 chopped onions, red onions, and a handful, about 20 or so, curry leaves. I'm going to give those a stir, pop them in the oven and soften the onions for 5 or 10 minutes. Whilst those onions are softening, let me just tell you a little bit about some other things on the tray here. So the lamb I've got marinating, and that's marinating in yoghurt with chilli, garlic, ginger and a little bit of turmeric. Now you'll find plenty of recipes which don't do the marinating bit, but it really kind of tenderizes the meat. The acidity in the very mild acidity in the yogurt just tenderizes that, as well as infusing it with flavour, of course. And this is typically a dish made with tougher cuts of meat, so the sort of meats that need a bit of tenderization and also need a bit of long slow cooking. So sometimes shank, sometimes shoulder. I've also got a paste which I've made up, and in here I've got garlic, ginger and chilli, and I've used Kashmiri chili. These are these fantastic chilies which have great flavour, great aroma, add a lot of colour to a dish, but don't have an enormous amount of heat. So you can get away with using lots of those, and if you've ever made a lamb Rogan Josh, this is the chilli that goes into that, heaps and heaps of it, to give it that lovely red colour. We're also using tamarind. I've got a tamarind paste here, and tamarind adds sharpness, so you can replace it with a bit of lemon, but more than sharpness, it's got a real sort of earthy quality to it and really enriches the dish, as well as adding that little bit of tangy zing. I can hear this sizzling away in here, and you can see the onions have become just a little bit translucent and started to soften a tiny bit after 5 or a little more minutes. Into that I'm now going to add that paste and the peanut butter, mix that in and cook that for a little bit longer, just until everything starts to sort of dry out. The railway mutton curry is a really famous dish found all over the Indian railways back in the day. I don't know if it still is. And of course there's a legend around it, as there is with all of these famous dishes. And the legend here is that a British officer on board one of the trains was very hungry during the middle of the night. He went to the catering car, to the chef's car, where the chef was cooking a dish which wasn't intended for the passengers but was intended for the staff, so it was just one of their local dishes. But the hungry officer begged for some food, tasted it and found it just too hot. So the chef, being a kindly chap, took some coconut milk, cooled it down with that coconut milk, added that lovely creaminess which takes away the heat. The officer really enjoyed the flavour and it became a firm favourite on the railway system throughout India. But the idea behind it is that we've got a dish which has some heat to it. So we've got chilli in our marinade, we've got chilli in our paste that we've put in the oven, we've got some chillies to add in later, and they all bring heat to the dish. But we cool that heat down with coconut milk, with yoghurt. The other thing about it is that it has some acidity to it, and the acidity may have stemmed from a time when there was no refrigeration on the trains, of course, so the chefs needed something to keep the dishes for a little bit longer to stop them from spoiling, so a little bit of lemon juice, or in our case tamarind. So that's still sizzling away really nicely there and looking nicely dried out, so it's almost sort of forming a ball there. And into that I'm going to add these spices and just cook them for a minute or two, just to toast them a little bit and add an even more divine flavour than is already started. So those spices are now smelling really toasty, and we can add tomato. It's going to bring a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of acidity. We're going to add the lamb. Give that all a stir and make sure that all of the lamb is nicely coated with those aromatics. And I'm going to add enough stock just to sort of cover everything. Now I'm going to cover that and let it cook quietly for 2.5 hours. That's the curry ready to go into the oven. There's not much left in those embers now, so I'm not even going to worry about moving them. The oven is falling nicely below 200 degrees, so I think we're probably down to about 170. We're nicely in the sort of 5 Mississippi zone where things are just going to simmer quietly, and we can leave them for a couple of hours, not even think about things. Door is going to go on. Bye bye curry, see you in 2 hours. If I was cooking this in the metal oven, in the Alpha down the garden for example, then I'd have a little bed of embers at the side to keep the temperature up there, and probably after an hour or so I'd go and refresh those embers a little bit, so a little bit of fire just to boost the heat, and then create another bed of embers and let the dish go on cooking. We're about 2.25 hours in now, so I'm going to check how things are going. Smells fabulous. Still bubbling away happily. It's reduced quite a lot. Wow, fantastic. So now I'm going to add the tamarind for that sharpness, and coconut milk. We are going for a full tin of coconut milk. Oops. To calm everything down. And then I'm going to cook it again with the top off to reduce the sauce so that we've not got too much liquid. And for this I'm probably going to need a little bit more heat. So before I put that back in, I'm going to make a little bit of fire and put a little bit of fire under the Tuscan grill. And I've got these sticks already chopped up, ready to go. So it shouldn't take 5 minutes to get a little bit of embers with these nice dry pieces of wood, kiln dried wood. That's now burned down just about to embers. We'll pop that on there and straight on top with that. And now we want this to come up to a simmer and just simmer for however long it takes to reduce it to the thickness that you want. Before we bring that out for the final time, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up. We do provide new videos pretty much every week, and if you've got any questions at all on this or any aspect of wood-fired cooking, do put a comment below and we will respond to you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.